Bienvenidos otra vez, Shabbat Tov Morach. Ahora estoy en mi cuarto, es muy tarde, 11:55 en la noche en Motzei Shabbat. But let's go. We're going to learn some Hiljot Shabbat. This booklet, I don't know if you can see it, the booklet that we gave out a few weeks ago when we had the Shabbaton en el puerto, que fue increíble. Okay, yeah. This is really the video for last week, but we're a little late, so it's up now. Anyways, we know Shabbat is the day of rest. It's the day that we stop working. But if you think about it, there's a very, basic question. We remember, from 3 weeks ago from Shabbaton, we were told you can't turn on a light on Shabbat. Pregunta, why not? It's not that hard, you just go like this. You just turn it up. Why can't you turn on the light on Shabbat? I'm still resting. So, from this question, we could really learn a very interesting way of what the Torah describes as work. The Torah describes work as creation. When you turn on the light, you're starting a little fire in the light. So therefore, on Shabbat, we stop from creation. And it's really, what we try to do is, we're trying to be like God. Because for 6 days, He created the world. And on the 7th day, He stopped from creation. So that's what we do on Shabbat. When we don't turn on lights and we don't do many things, it's really trying to be like God, who stopped from creation on the 7th day. So that's the first point. The first point is that on Shabbat we rest, but it's a deeper way of rest. It's a rest which is really a stopping of creation. The next point. The next point is what I just want to speak about is how do we know what is considered creation? How do we know what is considered work that the Torah forbids on Shabbat? So, our rabbis tell us that this comes from the way the Torah is structured. If you look in the Torah speaks about the laws of Shabbat right next to the laws of building el templo, the tabernacle. Maybe you said in Spanish tabernáculo, no sé, but the Torah speaks about the two things together. So it speaks about Shabbat next to the building of the temple. So what does that teach us? Our rabbis tell us from the fact that they are put next to each other, it tells us that the work that was done to create the temple, that same work is forbidden to do on Shabbat. So let's just give one example. In the temple, in order to build it, they needed curtains. The way the curtains were made was that they took an animal and they cut off the wool, the hair from the animal, and then they would bleach it, and then they would color it, and they would do many things in a part of a long process to create the curtains. And the Torah therefore is saying that all these steps in this process is part of creating a curtain. So therefore every single step in this process is going to be forbidden on Shabbat as well. So we know, so this is the second point that we just learned, is that what is considered work and creation is learnt out from the work that was done in the building of the temple, and we know this because they were put together next to each other in the Torah. So let's just speak about, there's 2 more points that we need to speak about. I know it's a bit complicated, but we could do this. The next thing is toldot. Toldot is really derivatives. I think in Spanish you say derivados, which is basically, it's a category of work which resembles something that is done in the building of the temple, but not exactly the same. Por ejemplo, right? We gave the example of making the curtains. So we said you have to cut the wool off the animal and then bleach it, right? So bleaching is going to be wool to make curtains is going to be forbidden on Shabbat. But a derivative of that is bleaching your clothing to clean them. So even though they didn't bleach your clothing in the templo, right, in preparation for it, but since it's very, very similar to that which was done in the preparation of the templo, that is going to be forbidden también in Shabbat. So far we have 3 things. Number 1, we defined work as creation, and we said that on Shabbat we rest from creating, just like Hashem, who rested on the 7th day after creating the world. Number 2 is we said that we know what is considered work from the Mishkan, which is the Templo. How do we know it? From the fact that these 2 things are placed next to each other in the Torah, it teaches us that what is considered work by one is considered work by the other. And the third thing that we said so far is Toldot, which says that work which resembles work that was done in the creating of the temple, even though it is not necessarily the same thing, that is also forbidden. The last point, which is a quick one, is rabbinic decrees, meaning things that the rabbinos said that you're not allowed to do. When we say rabbinos, we mean the rabbinos way back in the day, and there were certain things that they understood that even though the Torah doesn't say that you shouldn't do it, they say that you shouldn't do it, and we have to follow that as well. Just speak about one to bring out the point of the power of the rabbis. I think Alberto told me a very nice way to explain it. He said, imagine there's a house that smells pretty good, and it's something that we would want to enter to, but inside the house there's really bad things. There's drugs and things that are harmful for us. So our parents may say, you can't go into the house, and you can't even go on the same block. You have to stay 100 meters or however 100 feet away from the house. And even though we may want to go in, and we feel that the fact that our parents are telling us not to do it, it's bad, but really it's good for us because our parents are concerned for us. So the same thing is with the rabbis. They have the foresight. They understand what things are better than us, and therefore when they say certain things that we shouldn't do certain things, it's really for our benefit. So yeah, that was this week of Hiljot Shabbat. I know it was a pretty tough one, so I thank you for watching, and hasta luego.